a mini for, my brain stopped. Can you tell? My brain's just went, can't be bothered. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelly, also known as RowRow and Kades. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram. Welcome. This episode I'm going to talk about all the socks I've ever knitted. I did an episode previously where I talked about all the hats I'd knitted, and to be fair, I think all of them were just my designs. That was my bread and butter. Is he coming to say hello? Oh, you're going to show your head? Come here. That's it. There you go. Look. What's this? What's this? Who's that? Is that you? Yes. No, I don't want kisses though. Right. Go and lay down and get comfy somewhere. Okay? Go on, good girl. Go lay down. Go lay down. Anyway, what were we saying? I recently did, well, a while back, I did a video about all the hats I'd ever knitted, and most of them, I think all of them were designs that I did because I used to only design hats until I moved into other things. Socks are a little bit different. I have knitted other people's socks. There's still a lot of my design, but I have knitted other people's socks. So I'm not going to do them in any particular order because I have no idea what order I knitted them in, absolutely none. And I don't even remember properly moving into decent socks. I know the first ever pair of socks that I knitted was, I'll see if I've got a really terrible photo. It was a long time ago, and I knitted a pair of socks for Terry. His favourite colour is yellow, and I knitted the Colonel Mustard socks, which is a free pattern. I cannot remember who it's by, I'm so sorry, but I'll put it all on the screen. I knitted them in Stylecraft yarn, which was a DK yarn, 100% acrylic. And do you know what? He wore them to death. He absolutely wore them to death, and they did last for a while. Terry won't wear slippers or anything, so they were kind of like just slipper socks. And yeah, he wore them for a while, and I think that he lost one, and it also ended up going really big and baggy. Then after that, I'd knitted a couple of pairs for my sister-in-law. Her favourite colour is green, so she got green socks from me. I think I do have a couple of photos of them, and again, I think the first pair was just in acrylic. I didn't really, at that point, didn't really understand anything about socks, anything about what yarn you should really be using. First pair of socks that I ever designed was the Arrowroot socks. They were my first sock design. I think they come in 5 sizes, maybe 6 sizes, I'm not 100%. And I knitted them, again, not properly understanding at the time about sock stipulation. I knitted them in 100% alpaca, and they were lovely, but I washed them and they shrunk. So I don't actually have my Arrowroot socks. I need to knit myself another pair, and I also need to sort out that pattern so it doesn't say to knit them in alpaca, because that's just stupid. I mean, it makes nice socks and they'd be great for kicking around the house, but I'm not sure how long they would last with no nylon in, and I'm also not sure, like, you would have to hand wash them, and I don't actually hand wash my socks. I just chuck them in the washing machine. But I know a lot of people do hand wash their socks, and I know a lot of people use alpaca blends and things. So if you've used 100% alpaca before, let me know and tell me how your socks lasted, if you've still got them. So I don't have those ones to show you. And then, you know, I cannot remember what my second pair of socks was that I designed, But I'm just gonna stick my hand in and pull some out. Ah, okay. So, oh, what are these called? I'm not prepared for this at all, and I'm gonna end up having to look stuff up all the time. So excuse all the editing chops of me chopping out me looking on my phone for the info. I should open Ravelry first, shouldn't I? And then I might know a bit better. Okay, so these are the Thistle Thorn, is that right? Thistle Thorn Socks by Jane Burns. I actually test knit this pattern for her. So the Thistle Thorn pattern was for a Scheepjes, just a Scheepjes pattern, I think, that Jane did. Jane is a friend of mine. She asked me if I had anybody who could test knit the socks, and I just said, I'll do it. So she actually sent me the yarn to do it with, and it was Scheepjes Metropolis. Is that what it's called? Yes, Scheepjes Metropolis, which is what the pattern is knitted in, and I used the Johannesburg colour. There is so many colours in the Metropolis yarn. I've never used it again, but you know, it stood up so well. I think I knitted these, it must have been, when was it released? March 2021. I must have knitted them in 2020. Like, and they're one of the ones that I wear a lot. These are one of the first pairs of socks I ever actually made. And like properly, it's slightly felt in on the foot there. But like I say, they've never been hand washed. They just get chucked in the washing machine. I tend to chuck all my hand wash socks in mostly together, at least 3 or 4 pair. But I honestly do just chuck them in the washing machine. And yeah, these are lovely. I really like them. But yeah, so that is the Thistle Thorn Socks by Jane Burns. I do recommend. Another delve in the pile. Oh, another one that's not by me. So this is the 24 Days Socks by Potter and Bloom. So these are intended for a calendar for your scraps from your advents, and they are cuff down with a heel flap and gusset. It's the first time I ever knitted where somebody knitted the heel flap on the opposite side, so you knit the back and then go around the heel flap, and I'd never done that before and I was really confused doing this sock. I couldn't figure it out, but so these are the main yarn. The white is West Yorkshire Spinners Marshmallow colourway, signature 4-ply Marshmallow colourway, and which is held up quite good. It's quite bubbly. I knit these the Christmas before last, so about a 1.5 years ago I knit them. I did change where you join, so that I think both the socks in the pattern are exactly the same, so you would have the join on the same side, but when I did mine I did it so that the join was on the opposite side, so I could wear them with the join inside, the jog. Yeah, and it's just like a slip stitch pattern. It's kind of hidden on mine now. I do wear these a lot though, they're really nice and comfy. I don't know if you can see it better there. Yeah, you can see the slip stitch pattern a little bit better there. I used random colours that I had left over from an advent swap that I did. The insides are lovely. I love the insides of these. It kind of almost makes me want to knit a pair inside out. But yes, so that's the 24 Days Socks by Potter and Bloom. They only come in one size. And I do think I think it's still available. I know that Emma from Potter and Bloom retired from designing, but I'm sure her patterns are still available. Yes, her patterns are still available. So there you go, 24 days. Oops. Right, and then, okay. So this is Most Ardently. So one day I was sitting and I had this sometimes happens to me. It's it might happen to you. I don't know if I'm just a weirdo or if there's more weirdos like me out there. But sometimes I will be sitting and just like a little image will come in my head, and in that image might be a pattern idea. So one day I was sitting and this sounds so bizarre. I thought of like a little picnic, and the look of the picnic was like quite Georgian in my head, like flowy dresses and lovely floral arrangements and floral blankets and things. And I pictured these socks, that the lady was wearing these socks in this picnic, and I was like, oh, they're really pretty. That's a design I could do. And then because it was like this Georgian kind of theme, I thought of when Mr. Darcy says to Elizabeth Bennet that, I can't remember the quote now, I've quoted it before, but something about, let me look it up. In vain have I struggled, it will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. And I wanted to use something from that for these socks because it just reminded me of that sort of moment, like somebody saying that to you while you're on a picnic, wearing your little cute socks. So, and so I thought Most Ardently, and I thought that was quite fitting. And so here are the Most Ardently socks. So they are twisted rib, they are cuffed down, these ones are cuffed down with a heel flap and gusset. However, where are you? In the pattern there is also the recipe, oh so tatty, for a toe-up version, which I'll put on the blocker in a minute because I only have the one blocker. But these ones are knitted in a yarn that I actually won in a competition. So this is from Elizabeth Pawle and it's her Winter's Light. Or is it Winter Light? It's one or the other, I'll look it up and tell you. Her Winter Light colourway, I think it's winter. It's blowing out a bit there we go. So it's like this pink with yellows and blacks in it, but it's absolutely stunning. And it has held up so well, I wear these a lot. Most Ardently is really nice and stretchy. When you knit them, they're like all kind of bunched up, but it really stretches out and they make a really lovely stretchy sock. And yeah, they're just so pretty. They're just pretty. So let me show you the little skinny one. So the tote version, which is also included in the pattern, has a German short row heel with all instructions of how to do a German short row heel. And they're just a little shorty version. Obviously, if you're doing toe up, you can make them mid-calf length or shorty. If you're doing cuff down, you can make them mid-calf length or shorty. But yeah, so these are the Most Ardently socks. And these are in West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, and that's the Dusty Miller colourway. So I have those. These are my least worn pair, these ones in particular. Those I wear all the time. It's basically because I don't really wear shorties. However, the other day I wore them and I was like, do you know what, they're really comfy. So I might change my mind and do a few more shorties. But yeah, so there you go. Let's have another little dig because time's getting on. Oh, okay. Right, so now, not last October, but the one before, I was asked by Hobbii to try out some of their yarn and do some spooky socks. That's what they asked me to do, some spooky socks. And they sent me some yarn. So this is their unicorn yarn, and now I cannot remember the colour of it at all. But I know it's their unicorn. I'll put everything on the screen. And I made these with little spiders dangling down. Can you see the spiders? I think you can. So they go all the way down the foot on both sides, and I kind of just did them, I just randomised it. I wasn't doing it as a pattern or anything. I just did some spooky socks, but people seem to really like them. So I decided the following year I would sort the pattern and bring it out. These are now my Ampulate socks. Ampulate is, this was Elise from Frosia Knits. She came up with the name. Ampulate is like the gland inside the spider that produces the web. Yeah. Anyway, I decided not to go with Hobbii's unicorn yarn. I can't remember why now, because it's holding up. I think it was starting to pill on the heel pretty fast, so I decided not to use it, but it's actually holding up, but I don't wear these very often, I'm not going to lie. So I'd knitted those, and then the following year I went on the hunt for, I know I didn't use the unicorn yarn, because it was really hard to see and it was really quite difficult to photograph. So I went on the hunt and found this. I found it in Yorkshire Yarn Fest. It's from Quack Yarn and it is her Pier Walk colourway. I saw it at Yorkshire Yarn Fest, but she didn't have it in the sock base, she only had it in a DK. So I ordered it from her, and from her Etsy shop. Lovely Fiona at Quack. And I did the Ampulate socks. I wanted something that looked like it was blood spatter. Because they are for Halloween. Now, I do have two, because I did do them. I don't really wear these either. I think because in my mind, I think they're Halloween socks, because they are Halloween socks. I mean, they've got spiders all over them. Yeah. So the pattern itself, I know a lot of people are put off by it because there's a lot of purling. Because the front is, it's all, I mean the back is stocking stitch, but the front is purling. And there's no getting away from that. Spiders wouldn't stand out if you did them in stocking stitch. Yeah, so I know some people were put off by it, but the pattern itself was the most difficult pattern I've ever written out in my life. Because it's not just one size, because it's six sizes. Because I wanted them for kids as well, because it's a funny Halloween sock. So I wanted them for, well, it's not funny, spiders. There's nothing funny about spiders. I wanted it to be available to everybody. So to make the sizes, because of the way the spiders are, it's basically a separate pattern for every size. There was no other way I could get around it. There is charts included in the pattern to help you. There's a chart to make an identical sock to one of these. They're not both the same on purpose. There is a chart to make one exactly the same, but then there is a chart in there so you could draw your own out and make your own spider, so you can have 2 different ones. So yeah, it was quite an extensive pattern. It was very, very difficult to write. The testers had a proper job on, and it was hard work. But yes, Ampulate. They are my Halloween sock. I don't think I would do another Halloween sock. I don't know. Who knows? Something might pop into my head one day. But yeah. Next. So these are... Oh, what are these called again? Spruce Grouse. Could not think then. So they're my Spruce Grouse socks by Herrod of Songbird Handmade. These were tricky to knit, and purely because I didn't listen to the pattern and didn't put a central marker in when I was knitting them, and I just couldn't get the pattern in my head. Now, I don't know whether you can see, it's hard to see the pattern, but it's like V's, and then the V's change and they come this way. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, you can see them there, look, the V's. And then eventually they change and go the other way. It's only knits and pearls. It's really clever. It just took me ages because I just couldn't get it into my head. They also have a Turkish heel, which I'd never done before. So it's just this little, I don't know if I can show you this. Oh, this is awkward, isn't it? There, it's like a little flap that you knit. The rest of the sock is just straight. And you just have this little flap down the back. They are toe up, and they come in a few different sizes with a few different options. I think there's a wedge heel, a wedge toe and a rounded toe. I did the rounded toe. Yeah, I did the rounded toe. It's not focusing properly, but... And I think there was a different sort of cuff you could do. I can't properly remember. But yeah, it's a lovely little pattern. It's just it's quite an extensive pattern. There's a lot of pages in there. And you do have to listen to what she says. You do. But yeah, that's the Spruce Grouse socks by Herrod. I knitted them as part of my Make 9 actually, last year. Right, next is a really tatty pair of socks that actually belong to Terry. This is the only socks that I've knitted him in recent times. And they are just a vanilla sock, cuff down, heel flap and gusset. And they were knitted in Hobbie's silly socks. This was the something clown. Was it the clown? I can't remember. I'll put the colour on the screen. These were just a present for Terry that I did. They're not the same. They're not matching. I just start from where I finish. It kind of goes like this. I don't. Yeah, I don't like try and match them up for him because he's not bothered about that. He wears these to death, and he doesn't wear slippers. So you can see that they're pilling a little bit, but honestly, this yarn really holds up because he is not gentle with them at all. He just walks through on hard floors, carpets, everything, just in these. They go in his shoes. They're basically slippers. They just, yeah, they really get a battering. And yeah, I recommend Hobbii Silly Socks yarn because if you don't batter your socks and you actually look after them, I think it would last ages. I'm actually knitting him another pair in that yarn at the minute. It's not the same colour, and it's over there and I'm not getting it. But they're on my podcast, because, and I will knit him more in it because he really likes it, and yeah. Next is the first colour swallow a hair. The first colourwork design I ever did. Oh, it doesn't fit on the blocker. Oh, you do, don't you? Oh, do you know? Helps if you use the blocker the right way, doesn't it? There we go. Right. So these are the first colourwork socks I ever designed. And they are my Dispersion socks. I always mix them up with another design that I have. So these were designed to try and show off like a heavily variegated yarn. Now I know that now this is in this pattern, it doesn't look heavily variegated, the blue, but it really was. Like, I was knitting this socks with it and it just wasn't, it was hiding all the lace and everything. You know that type of yarn where it's just like, I'm too beautiful to be used on lace, like I'm not having that lace steal my thunder, you know, that kind of yarn. And it was this was a yarn by Enchanted Yarn, Nina from Enchanted Yarn, who doesn't dye anymore as far as I'm aware, and I'd won it in a competition. It was on Instagram and you had to name the yarn, and I named it Crystal Cove, and she chose that name and I won a skein of it, and it was just stunning. So I asked Nina to dye me up like a cream to go with it so that I could do these, and she did. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, you can't get it anymore. So I might have to knit these again in different colourways of yarn that you can actually get. But yeah, so it's just a colourwork sock. It was a peasant heel, my first ever peasant heel. I was too nervous to do a true afterthought heel, so I did a peasant heel, but I don't really like the fit of it. It's not my favourite sock to wear. If I knitted them again, I think I would do a German short row heel, because it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't really fit me very well. It's a little bit too shallow for me, I think. I do have a bit of a high instep. But yeah, that is my Dispersion socks. My first ever colourwork design in socks, and my only at the minute. Who knows what's coming, people? Who knows? So that is those. Yeah, that is one of my favourite yarns that I've ever had, that Crystal Cove. It's so beautiful. I really wish I could have more of it. So Nina, if you're watching, get it soft. Next is the ones that I was mixing up with them ones, which is Diffraction Socks. So I have Dispersion and Diffraction. Oh, I should tell you why, shouldn't I? So Dispersion. Oh, let me not get this wrong now. So Dispersion, it does mean to spread things over a wide area, but that's not why I picked it. It also means the separation of white light into colours, or of any radiation according to wavelength. So it was the light. When I saw these, it reminded me of like stained glass windows and things like that. And I thought like these like rays looked like light, like, you know, when you get like the rainbow coming through something like a window or whatever, or in a puddle or whatever. It reminded me of that, and so that was why I called them Dispersion. So these are my Diffraction Socks, which is another design by me. Okay, so I'll show you them first. Now, diffraction is the process by which a beam of light or other system of waves, it can be sound or any sort of wave, not water wave, is spread out as a result of passing through a narrow aperture or across an edge. So this is why I called it dispersion, because it like goes through this narrow thing and then it spreads out, and it goes through the narrow thing, then it spreads out. So that's why they're called diffraction. I said dispersion then, didn't I? They're too similar and they were right after each other, and I am very silly. So I do like my pattern names to mean something though. I don't just want to call them Fred or George or anything. I want to call them something that has meaning. And that's nothing, no offence intended to anyone who designs and calls them whatever they want. It's just my personal thing, is I like to really delve into it and make it mean something. I don't know, most Ardently didn't mean anything, did it? It was just something that came to me. So these are diffraction. So they are stocking stitched around the back, and then they have this pretty pattern going down the front. I also have diffraction, they're really tight now. Diffraction, I have a diffraction hat and a diffraction cowl, which came first. So diffraction socks, there will be more diffractions coming because the pattern's really pretty. And I do have a few in the pipeline. These were knitted in the Weaver's Cottage yarn. I cannot remember the colour. No, I can't remember the colour at all. I just found her on Etsy and bought it because it was the colour I had in my head for these socks. And I do wear these a lot. It is quite pilling, and it's starting to fade here where the ball of my foot goes. I don't think you can really see it on the camera, but it is, the colour has faded in that section and it's really pilled there, so I'm a little bit concerned about them, but they're old. It's faded on the heel too. Oh, it has a eye of partridge heel on this one as well, a bit different. I like to change it up. If you watch my hat video, you'll know this about me. I like to change it up. So yeah, they're quite pilly, but they're also quite old. They're also really long, aren't they? So that's diffraction. One of the really early socks that I made, designed. I think this might have been the second sock I designed, possibly. And this was Stormseeker sock. If you can hear a car, my neighbours are just coming back from somewhere. So, Stormseeker. I've just released the Stormseeker tee. Yeah, these are, they come in lots of sizes too. And they have that lightning bolt going through. When I first saw it in the magazine, where did I find this pattern? It's all over. I think it's in like Stitch Bibles and things. I think the first time I saw it in a Stitch Bible, it was in a pink colour, and it was this that was prominent, these here. This wasn't prominent at all. And then when I knitted it, all I could see was that lightning bolt. I couldn't see these. It looked really floral when I first saw it in the book. But now all I see is the lightning bolts. And in the Stormseeker tee, I think the lightning bolts are really prominent. You can't see that floral pattern. But yeah. And then someone said to me, I saw the lightning and someone said to me, it reminds me of lightning. And I was like, yeah, it does. And then I searched so much about lightning to try and find a name. Like I knew everything about lightning at that time. And then, but everything was taken. I like to have a name that's not taken. And then I was looking up storm chasers, which is what they're really called. And then I thought, well, they're looking for a storm, aren't there? And then I've seen Storm Seeker was in a poem that someone had written. And we'll try and find it and put it up if I can find it. It's a long time ago. It was a really short poem. And it was Storm Seeker in there. And I was like, that's it. So there we go. Oh, I'm coming close now. Right, these are not my design. These are a design by Vapor Socks. These are the Vapor Socks by Helen Stewart. So these were knitted in a one-of-a-kind yarn by Woolly Goodness Yarns. I can't even remember how I got that yarn. It's just like a green and pink sparkle. And you have this lovely, really simple pattern going down the front. And then the back is just all stock and stitch. They're lovely. It was a really nice knit, really enjoyable. And the yarn is just, it's gorgeous. It's one of the softest yarns I've had for sock yarn. It's really, really lovely. I will definitely need to look into getting more Woolly Goodness yarns. She tends to do a lot of self-striping, I think. It did have a fault in it. Oh, it's faded now. There was a little, I don't even know if you'd be able to see that. There was a little blue spot in the yarn and it was really bright blue. But it's faded now. It's still there a little bit, but that was all. So yes, Helen Stewart Vapor Socks. Highly recommend that pattern. And the Woolly Goodness yarn, I highly recommend that as well. It's standing the test of time. Next is one of my favourites, but it's not actually a popular design. So I don't know what it did wrong. Maybe it just looks too complicated, I don't know. It's not complicated. Oh, it didn't want to go on there. So this is my Limerence sock. So yeah, it's one of my I absolutely love this sock, but it's I always feel dead posh when I've got them on. But it's not a popular pattern. I mean, there's people who've bought it and knitted it, but it's just not the most popular. And I don't know why. It's not a difficult pattern. I don't know what it is. I can't remember how many sizes this comes in. A few. I don't do just one size, I always do a few. And it was knitted in a yarn by Dye and Knit by Kate. Dye and Knit by Kate, and it's a honey cake colourway. It's absolutely beautiful. So pretty. It is pilling a lot, but they all do, don't they? It's socks. But yeah, they really don't like this blocker. So that's my Limerence socks. Just in case you like it too. Then have one of my most recent finishes actually. I think I've only worn them once. Not my design. This is by Summer Lee Knits and it is the Mermaid Avenue sock. This yarn was gifted to me by a friend and it is the Mountain Colours yarn who are here and now retiring or retired. The Mountain Colours yarn, and this was the cornflower colourway. I had it for ages and I was waiting for the perfect pattern, and then I saw this and I was like, well, that's mermaid, isn't it? So yeah, it's a really cute pattern. It's quite easy to do. They did take me a while. I kind of got a little bit bored with them, but I mean I got them finished in the end. Yeah, it's an okay pattern. I'm not going to say it's an amazing pattern. It's not. It's one of her earlier patterns. There's just a couple of bits in the pattern that I didn't like about it, but I can't properly remember what now. I know one of them is the getting you to decrease. It doesn't give you the decrease ratio, it just tells you decrease evenly. You've got to work it out yourself, which annoys me. As regular viewers know, I really get annoyed by that. And there was something else about it, I can't properly remember, but yeah, they're really cute. I think you need to know how to knit a sock to follow the pattern, put it that way. I wouldn't be a beginner and go into that pattern. But other than that, they are cute and I like them. I do wear them a lot. They're lovely and warm. It's nice and thick, that yarn. Next, we have another taupe sock of mine. And these are my First Bloom socks. So they're just a vanilla sock, but with this pretty little 3D flower. Can you see that it's 3D? On the ankle. Put this in. Yeah. What did I knit these in? I don't know. Was it Miss Joseph Spinners? Do you know? I don't know. Oh, it's Hobbie's rainbow sock in 4-ply. That's what it is. It's Hobbie's rainbow sock. Yeah, it's quite a rough, rusticy feeling yarn, but I do like it. It's nice for socks. Yeah. First Bloom. This flower took me ages. So they are, I haven't been telling you why they're called things, have I, again? I told you Diffraction. Oh, it was only Limerence. So limerence is a state of mind which results from romantic or non-romantic feelings for another person. It basically is the desire to form or maintain a relationship with the object of love and to have the feelings reciprocated. I just thought it was nice. And they're nice, so they're matched. First Bloom, well, you've got one flower on your sock, so it's the First Bloom. I know there's 2 flowers, but you know what I mean. And they go this way, so the flowers on the outside. And yes, I had to do them toe up because this was so difficult to do, to figure it out, to make that one looks a bit better, to make the flower stand out like a 3D flower, including the leaves. I really want to do more with First Bloom, but with it being bottom up, it's quite difficult to figure out what to do. Like, I wanted to do a tee with them, but it would have to be a bottom up tee, but I might still do that. I might still figure it out. But yeah, I really like First Bloom socks. And then, oh, we're coming to the end, peeps. We're coming to the end. Let's do Khorasan. Khorasan were my nemesis sock. So, Khorasan, I have a Khorasan hat, which I love. I'll pop a picture up. And I wanted to do Khorasan socks. So, I announced that I was doing Khorasan socks. This is an issue that I have. I announce things because I'm excited about it, and then I get to work on them and go, this doesn't work, but everyone's excited, and then people start DMing me going, are they done yet? I'm not even joking. People will DM me and go, have you done them Khorasan socks yet? I'm waiting for them. So then I feel pressure to make something work. These didn't work. I got the cuff done, the cuff down. I got the cuff done. I'm sorry about the lighting. I did try to diffuse it, but it didn't work. Right, there's the cuff. So I got the cuff done. And then I started on this. So these are all mini cables. Every single one of them is a mini cable. It's stitches being switched, which makes for a very tight sock, let me tell you. So to make it work, it actually has a super wide heel. I don't know whether you can see it better on this one. It just, you can't even tell. But basically, to make it work, I had to have lots more cast on. So there's like an increase round at the cuff to get enough stitches to make it fit your foot. And then the heel flap is really wide compared to normal heel flaps. Then you just have a normal gusset. You still have lots of stitches, but you've got more on the top than you have on the bottom, so that the top equals the bottom. And then when you get to the toe, there's like a quick decrease across the top of the toe to bring it down to the same amount of stitches as the bottom. It was very complicated. And it comes in a lot of sizes. How many sizes? It comes in six sizes. It was very complicated. It nearly broke me. To the point where I have knitted this sock so many times to get it to work that these are actually odd. One of them, they both fit okay, but one of them has, I don't even know which one. One of them has the better fit. One of them has the pattern fit. The other one has a prototype fit, where I was like, oh, I could do better than that. And then I knitted this one. One of them also has an error in it, where I don't, because they go like this, there it is. Because the cables go one way then the other way, and one way then the other way, each row, on one of mine, I went the same both times. It's really hard to see. It's around here somewhere. I can't see it. They go the same way twice. It's there. There it is. There, see? Both rows are going that way instead of going dirt. But it's so hard to spot, and I was like, sod me pulling that out. And yeah, I think this one is the one that's dodgy, and this one is the actual final sock. Oh, just so hard. Khorasan is a type of wheat, and I thought these looked like, this pattern looks like wheat. The original hat is in a wheat colour, and looks more like wheat. But I didn't want to knit everything in a wheat colour. That's why I call it Khorasan. Yeah, really difficult. I will probably never knit that pattern again, because I think I knit that sock about 15 times before I got it right. I also have a confession. My Ballad of the Tenderfoot socks, I actually don't have a pair. So, Ballad of the Tenderfoot was named Ballad of the Tenderfoot because it was aimed at people who had never knitted a sock before. The pattern is written talking you step by step through knitting a sock. They're in DK to try and make it a little bit faster as well, and they're just a simple design. It was named Ballad of the Tenderfoot because it was like you're a tenderfoot because you're new to it, and I just thought Ballad of the Tenderfoot sounded really lovely. I wish I could think of more names like that because a lot of people think that that's a really lovely name. I think that sort of gets knitted just because of its name sometimes. But yes, so because it was knitted as a beginner pattern, I actually filmed knitting one of them from start to finish, and I had to keep ripping it out and then knitting a section because I did a video for DPNs and a video for Magic Loop, and so I kept ripping it out and knitting it and knitting it on an overhead cam, like under an overhead camera, and then I needed to do a section of it again, and I can't remember why, but I needed to rip it out again and do another section of it, and I did that section and then I just never finished it. In the pictures from the pattern, they're actually Katie Herrod from Songbird Handmade. She did some amazing photos, and I did actually do some photos, but they were rubbish. And I just said to Katie, can I just use your photos, please? Because I've ripped out my sock again. So she let me use them. So that's actually Katie, it's not me. It's actually somewhere in Canada. I've never been to Canada. Yeah, that's my story of that's my Ballad of the Tenderfoot. So I do need to finish that, don't I? I really need to finish that sock. I think it's only one that needs doing. They're in a bag in there. And it's DK, it'll take me minutes. Like literally it won't. But it won't take me long. An hour of my life. I'm also going to release that pattern in a 4-ply fingering eventually, when I get some time. Next is my Breach of Promise socks. So, Breach of Promise were a sock for Jess at Skein and the Stitch. She brought out a cosy Christmas sock box where you got a skein of yarn with a mini for the heel flap and I was going to say heel flap and gusset, from the heel, cuff and toe. Come on, brain. And you got this gorgeous yarn. Not this yarn, this is gorgeous yarn. It didn't come in these colours. It was like a blue and a cream, I think. I'm not 100%. I think you got a candle and you got some stitch markers and you got a pattern from me. And it was all Georgian themed. And so I did these. Now, me and Jess at the time, she had a lot of sickness going down in her household. I was just absolutely swamped with everything coming at me at once, work-wise. So she just sent me another yarn set that she had, and she chose one that she knew I loved, which was the William the Bloody, which is from her Buffy collection from last year. William the Bloody, if you are not familiar with Buffy, is a character who's actually called Spike. His human name was William before he was a vampire. His human name is William. And he's called William the Bloody because he's a bloody awful poet, not because he's like a murderous. Well, he is murderous when he's Spike, but he's a lovable murderess. So William the Bloody, and this is Blood Right. And I did Breach of Promise. So a Breach of Promise was when a man told a woman in the Georgian era, when a man told a woman, God, I go on, don't I? Don't I go on? When a man told a woman that he would marry her and then changed his mind, that was a breach of promise. So this is why they're called breach of promise. So they start off with this leaf type pattern. Are you going to focus for me? And then it stops and it's like a laddering across the top, and then they just end in the leafy bit. But that's why it's a breach of promise, because the leaves are broken. Yeah, I did a tiny little cuff. It's just the tip of the cuff was the colour, because I had never used a mini for my brain stopped. Can you tell? My brain's just went, can't be bothered. I'd never used a mini for the toes and the heels and the cuffs before, and I was worried of running out. Turns out I've got blooming loads left, so I could have done the whole cuff. But I like that anyway, that it's just got the little tip. Yeah, so they're my breach of promise socks. I haven't worn these very often, and I should. I like them. I love that yarn. Next we have the String of Heart socks by Kat. From Dexter Loves Annie, which is a new sock I've just finished. If you watched my recent podcast, they're pretty much my latest finished object. These are a shorty sock with an eye partridge heel. I knitted these in Beehive Yarn's one of a kind colourway called Canopy. It's in her Audrey base, and they're just cute. I have recently just talked about these, but they're just they have these little heart cables running down, and they're just a really cute sock. I really like them. I haven't worn them yet because last week I couldn't wear them because I was filming the podcast and I'd finished them and they were in my finished objects pile, and then this week I knew I was doing this. So now I'm going to wear them. But I've just spoken about them, so I'm not going to go on. Next, I've only got 2 left now. These ones and one more. So these are my Get On the Blocker Coastal Waters socks. So these are mirror socks. So they're like this with the thing on the side. When I first saw this pattern, it reminded me straight away of peacock feather. I think it's supposed to be a peacock feather. They are toe-up socks because I never worked out doing this cuff down. I probably could, but I just didn't really have the time or the brain capacity at the time to do it. So I did toe up because I really liked it. And I did a Fleagle heel, which I absolutely love. So a Fleagle heel, you kind of like knit the heel flap here like this and then join it up and continue. It's really fun. And it's a really nice fit, and it is my preferred toe-up heel. I'm actually designing another pattern at the minute that's got a Fleagle heel, and I have others in the pipeline. Yeah, so when I designed that, I thought the peacock feather, and I looked and looked and looked for different things to call a peacock feather for a pattern. What could I name it? Couldn't think of anything. And then couldn't find anything fitting. And then I spoke to Jess about it. Now this is knitted in Jess from Skein on the Stitch. This is her sock base, and it is in the Sea Swell colourway, and I absolutely just put myself in the eye with it. Absolutely, you can poke me in the eye all day. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favourite yarns. It's so beautiful. But anyway, I digress. Jess said that it reminded her of underwater sea kelp. Like, I'll put a picture up of what I mean. And when I seen that, I was like, oh, It really does. And she was like, it's like an underground, like underwater mermaid sort of place. So then I searched like where that stuff grows and everything and came up with a name. Or I didn't come up with a name. Found the wording, coastal waters, and I was like, that's the job. So coastal water socks were born. Mine are too big for me. I think I knitted the 72 stitch and I'm a 64 stitch. I don't, or maybe I did, I don't know. I'd have to count. But they are just slightly too big for me. I need to make them smaller, but I love this yarn so much that I don't want to like not have them. So I'm not giving them away to anyone. I just wear them and they just get a bit sloppy from time to time. But yeah, they are very slightly too big for me, but I love them. They're one of my favourites, mostly because I just love the yarn so much. But yes, coastal waters. And finally, we have, that's upside down, Menzies. We have the Vial of Sand socks, which was released yesterday. It's coming out this afternoon as I film this, but this is going up to, this video is going up tomorrow, so it will be out yesterday. Vial of Sand socks, I've got a video coming about the design of them. They caused me a bit of internal turmoil. You will see on the video that comes out in a few weeks. I knitted these in the Beehive yarns, Audrey base. This is the oatmeal colourway. It is blowing out. And they're called Vial of Sands because people told me that it looked like an hourglass. Let me show you on the... hang on. There we go. See one there. Right. So, a few people said it reminded them of an hourglass. And I was like, oh, I really like that. It does look like an hourglass. So then I started searching for names, as I do. And Hourglass was taken, Sands of Time was taken, all these things. Now I am a bit of a girl gamer. I don't play as much as I used to, just because I don't have the time. But I used to play a lot of games. One of my favourite games that I played was World of Warcraft. And in World of Warcraft, there is a spell you can get that basically turns you into a dragon so that you can fly, and you can also... people can jump on your back and you can give them lifts places. You become a vehicle, but you're a dragon. And I am very much into fantasy and all that sort of thing. Elves and dragons and witches and all of that stuff is really, really my bag. I love it. And so something that turns you into a dragon is like, yes, yes, please. Give me some of that now. That spell is called Vial of Sands. And, you know, an hourglass is a vial and it is full of sand. So this is why they're called Vial of Sands. I stole it from World of Warcraft, and also because it does look like an hourglass. So yeah. So the Vial of Sands socks come in 5 sizes. They are cuff down with a heel flap and gusset that is a partridge heel. No, it's not. It's an eye of partridge heel. Why I always call it partridge or partridge eye. And it has a rounded toe. Yes, it is out now. If you catch this video before the 18th of June, they currently have 15% off. If you don't, then they're full price. I worked very hard on them. They are charted and written, as most of my things are. I like to provide for both people. I've got a big fly buzzing around. Oh, he's a big fat one. So yes, my glasses are falling off. I have recorded for God knows how long. I have a big pile of socks next to me. That is me over and out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I was requested to do this one, and I have also been requested to do all the jumpers I've ever knit. So I might do that one when we go around into the winter sort of period. Half of them don't fit me because I've knitted them for models. So I've got a big old pile of jumpers upstairs and they don't fit like this. Yes, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you for putting up with my waffling. I know I go on. I do apologise. Yes, and I hope that I've maybe given you some sock ideas to knit, some ones that you thought, oh, I haven't seen that one before, I'm going to knit that one. Or I don't know, if you've never knitted a sock before, maybe I'll give you an incentive to give it a go. But yeah, I will link them all below so you can get to them easy enough. Thank you very much for watching. Please give it a thumbs up. It really, really helps. And if you can drop a comment as well, please do, because everything like that helps. And if you are not currently subscribed, give it a click that bell, all the bells and whistles, do all the little jobs, and I'll send you cake in the post. I will truly appreciate it, promise. Thank you so much. And yeah, I hope to see you back again on another video. Yes, that is what I was trying to say. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.